Okay, yeah.
Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on Nerves of Steel, the podcast with an amazing name, but even better guests. And today we have one of my favorite accountants, co-founder of Iridium Solutions, based in Cape Town, father, husband, son, brother, Mr. Peter Sean Magner. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Junaid. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my absolute pleasure. I've actually wanted to, when I thought about this podcast, you were actually one of my first thoughts when I said, who is a good candidate to jump on this and just speak about business, speak about technology, speak about people, and what you and Simon have built, and what I've watched you build over the last couple of years is really inspirational. Can you just tell everybody who doesn't know you, and I'm almost certain that there's not many people in the accounting space that don't know the Iridium brothers. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into who you are and how is it that you get into specifically accounting, not cloud accounting just yet, but accounting itself?
Yeah, sure. I'll do the quick start and maybe a little bit more of the middle and end.
Okay.
I'm a Cape Town boy. Went to Rondebosch Boys High, UCT, did my articles at Ernst & Young, and applied my trade as an auditor for all of 3 and a bit years, and qualified as a chartered accountant back in 2013. And I did a 2-month stint as a technical manager at another firm and decided it wasn't for me, and instead joined Simon as he was starting off Iridium. And that was kind of a typical dining room table. We were getting boxes of accounting records from startups, and we pretty much took any client we could get just because we needed money and needed work. So we had some pretty bad clients and jobs in the beginning, but it was for the most part, him and I doing the bookkeeping, VAT returns, payroll, literally everything, you can, and we learned a lot in the beginning.
Was the firm called Iridium back then, or what were y'all trading as?
We were trading as Iridium Business Solutions.
Okay.
We had a slick, slightly gray and light blue logo, and I think it was a Wix website that Simon built himself.
Okay.
There's no magical reason why it's called Iridium. It was a name that wasn't really taken at the time, and Simon was like, "Cool, yeah, that sounds good. It's different."
Yeah.
And we actually rebranded to iridium.coza and our new colors and logo and everything a number of years later. I think it was around 2017 or 2018. I think 2017 that we did a proper rebrand to who we are today, which is a lot more vibrant and colorful and fun, and actually is a little bit more of who we are as a brand and as a business.
Okay.
Our gray and light blue wasn't quite representative of kind of what we're all about, but it looked good in terms of accounting. Those are like the traditional
standard colors. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Don't mess around. Don't be too exciting. Don't be innovative. Just be.
Tell us about your time at EY. In those early days. What were you typically doing as someone doing his articles at a big firm like EY? I'm one of the top 4 currently in the country. What was your day to day?
Yeah, I think day to day it was very much auditing. So I got to engage with big firms, the likes of BP, and go in and do sections of their their year-end audits. I got to work on Mark Shuttleworth's group, the famous South African entrepreneur. He had 12 different companies in his group. Yeah, I got to go spend some time in Durbanville at his various homes. He literally had taken an entire block in Durbanville, bought all the properties in that block, bashed down all the walls, and created a really big property because his mom always liked gardening, and so he basically created this really big space for his mom to have space for gardening, which I thought was really cool.
It's very cool.
And he had a few other ventures that were a little bit more exciting, like he was part of a restaurant called Moyo. He had some tech businesses, and we got to do the audits of all those companies. I had to trek out to a place called Atlantis, which is a little bit far out, to audit a automotive company that did steering wheels and seat belts. So get to engage with the CFO and financial managers, go check out the processes in the factory. And for me, that was getting stuck into a business and understanding the product, how it works, the story. For me, it was really exciting. The actual work's super exciting, let's be honest. Auditing is not amazingly fun, but it for me, what I took out of it was the like how businesses run, the processes they follow, the systems they use, what works, what doesn't work, the potential risks in a business, and how to kind of mitigate those risks. And when you're an auditor, you don't necessarily get to chat to just like the juniors. You actually get to skip all the juniors and go to the CFO or a director, or
the decision maker.
Yeah, the proper decision makers, and ask them questions. And sometimes there's awkward questions because you're going, what happened here? This looks wrong. They have to give a reason. And sometimes the questions you ask are a bit stupid, like, why is there a 10% variance on your entertainment account? And they're going, because we spent more on entertainment. So sometimes as an audit trainee, your questions you're actually asking don't necessarily have good foundation to them because you don't really know what to ask. But you learn a lot as an auditor. It is hard work though. Like I can imagine. Every audit firm you speak to, you'll probably find that trainees are working overtime, and most of them are working a lot of overtime. And there's always like this conversation around mental health and trainees.
Back then, we're talking about now pre the time of mental health and people focusing on well-being, and was it something that was being discussed even back then while you were a trainee?
Not necessarily discussed. I mean, at the time, EY was winning awards for being the best people firm. We look after our people. I remember, I think it was in my second year, being discussed, probably not. Happening, 100%. I took a 1 month off towards the end of my articles because I burnt myself out. And EY were kind enough to give me that time, and I came back and finished my articles. But that's mental health. Like I crashed, couldn't finish, couldn't go to work, took time off and finished off. So mental health might not have been spoken about, but it was definitely a reality.
We'll touch on the mental health aspect and the specifics around your crash and how you got yourself out of that. Tell us a little bit more about how you and Simon found cloud technology? Because I'm assuming back in the early days, you guys are still using desktop software. Iridium wasn't born in the cloud. What was your journey to finding cloud tech, specifically cloud accounting software?
God, what are you talking about? We started from day one in zero.
Really?
Yeah. No, we literally we're day oneers.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought your business was a desktop firm first, and then you all made the transition. You started Iridium on the cloud.
Yeah. No, we're proper OGs. We were one of the first in the country to have adopted Zero, and we didn't have any other tool. We're proud to say we've been Zero for the last almost 12 years now. So I mean, it was actually one of the other cloud accounting firms. They were pre us. And my brother reached out to the owner and said, what do you use? And he said, no, I use Zero. He said, cool, let me check it out. And I think he had started maybe like a year or so before, or 6 months before Iridium started. And so it's kind of like the blind leading the blind, but we found Zero pretty quickly, and we're probably one of the first 3 or 4 in the country.
Okay, you are probably one of the most passionate people that I know when it comes to supporting entrepreneurs, helping them grow their businesses, helping them specifically with creating an app stack that makes sense for their business. Tell us about some challenges that you've seen over the last couple of years that entrepreneurs are facing when it comes to, building out a suite of apps that they're making use of, and how do you currently assist them to overcome these obstacles?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I absolutely love technology. I think it's people plus tech. Makes a good business, and so for me, when I look at most businesses, the challenges are often around the people and their ability to adopt tech, and a lot of the tools out there are quite easy to use. That's not the issue, but it's the busyness of life, the kind of the team dynamics, and how one rolls out technology. So change management is massive. I think if you get it wrong, people turn down the solution and don't want to go back to it. So I think one needs to understand who you're working with and who you're dealing with before you decide to implement any tools. And then make sure you have enough kind of support along the way. So find the right partner that will roll out that technology with you. Obviously, I'm going to go, well, we're the right partners, but whether you're using, you need to make sure that they make sense for you as a business. We intentionally say to people, we're not good at rolling out certain things. Don't come to us if you are a restaurant owner. We will not roll out your tech stack because we do not specialize in that space. So I think it's by finding the right partner, it's two-way. Finding somebody who's got the skill set and the experience in your space, specifically in your industry. And also you need to make sure that that partner is somebody that you can work with, that has a proven track record, that you feel like they're the right people that will train your team and work with you. And so I think that aspect really, really big. I think you as a business owner need to own the change as well. So if I've seen a lot of like mid-tier people, in a firm, say they're passionate about cloud technology or they're passionate about rolling out solutions, but they're not the decision makers.
Yeah.
And when you've got somebody who's kind of lower down, they don't have the weight to make the right decisions and drive that change, even though they think they might. You start asking questions and they go, oh, yeah, I need to talk to my partner or my director, or I can't. And actually, they're not empowered. So, if there's going to be somebody that's going to take a business into a new space in terms of technology, they need to have ownership and empowerment in that space and be able to make the decisions. If they don't, it's not going to work out. And then, if you've got a business that has multiple partners, everyone needs to be aligned. We've spoken to lots of companies where they've got multiple partners, and 3 out of the 4 are old school, and they're like, I don't do that thing. I don't do cloud. That's for those guys over there, not us. And actually, it's a fundamental change in a business. Everyone needs to be on the same page, and everyone needs to buy in.
Is this partnership something that you offer to other accounting practices as well? Because we always focus on business owners as non-accountants, but accountants are business owners at the end of the day. They're running small to medium-sized practices, and the things that you just mentioned now are some of the issues that I encounter more often than not with accounting practices. So if there's an accounting practice out there listening, is Iridium geared up to support accounting practices with change management if we have all willing participants within that partnership?
I think that's the answer is twofold. One is, are they open to it? Because a lot of accounting firms go, but they're a competitor. I can't. That's just not. No, that's not going to work out. And I think I often chuckle at that, because the space in South Africa and the world is very big. It's a big ocean. It's not a little pond, and there's more than enough for everyone to play in. So often, and especially in the cloud accounting community, I feel like I don't see fellow cloud accountants as competitors. It's more of a community. So I think for me, the starting point is like, we can only help people if they're willing to take that help. And then in terms of actually helping, yes, we do offer that. And I've actually done some accounting firm consulting. Currently, and it's not just on the tech front. There's a lot of different aspects that go into it, around pricing and people and processes.
How do you tackle that? Before we move on from that, I don't want to. How does Iridium as an organization tackle that sensitive topic, the topic of price, the topic of packaging? Because we do live in a country where people are very price sensitive, and I find that accountants more often than not are downgrading their pricing just to secure the client. How do you, as an organization, how do y'all work around those challenges?
So I suppose for all the accountants out there that are downgrading, what the hell are you doing? We've consistently upgraded our pricing year on year. We have a base fee, and we don't go below that, because for me it's about quality, I'm more than happy to shop at Woolworths, because I know I'm going to get good quality. and there are many out there that do the same.
Yeah.
So for me, it's people are less price sensitive than you might realize. You're very happy to spend money where you see value. So
Okay.
for me, it's actually less about the amounts and more about the value that you provide, and making sure that the value aligns to what people are wanting, and that's about how do you communicate the value, and how do you make sure that people trust that that's what they're going to get. So a lot of what we do is around ensuring that we have a great customer experience, that we really provide a good quality service, and most of our work comes through referrals, which means you've already got somebody that says, well, I'm part of the Iridium community. I already pay whatever I pay, and I get what's expected, that quality. So when somebody's coming in and going, well, I also need that, they already have an understanding that quality is in place, and they've already vetted like the first experience. So I think accountants don't spend enough time around understanding the value that they are able to provide to business owners, and they see it as, oh, we just do bookkeeping, we just do compliance, and
But that's the traditional accounting firm, isn't it? When we speak about accounting firms, more often than not, that's what the guy on the street perceives that accounting firm is. They're going to do my bookkeeping, they'll help me with my payroll, they'll help me with my SARS submission. That's it. That's the relationship between the business owner and the accountant. When you talking about now giving clients a better experience, that's the new age accountant, that's the cloud accountant, that's the one who's looking to build relationships with these clients and not just have it as a compliance relationship.
Agreed. And I think there's the tricky part about that conversation is a lot of people hear that, and their perception is, okay, but then I need to take that compliance function, level up to advisory services, because then I'm only providing value. And actually, there's value in the bookkeeping compliance. How you do that, how you package that, and how you deliver that to a client adds value. Advisory services are a different service line where you can add value. Whereas I think there's this perception that, well, I need to, on top of what I'm already delivering, go over and above in order to add value. For me, it's actually not about that. It's actually about doing what you've already contracted to a client, doing it really well. By doing what you've asked really well, that's quality, but it also adds value. And there's little ways to tweak it that add more value to a customer. How you communicate, how quickly you deliver a service. Picking up a phone call and telling somebody that provisional tax is coming up, and having a conversation with them around their options, that's adding value.
Now, on that comes down to the people around you. One of the major issues or major, what's the word I'm looking for? Problems that partners are currently facing or accountants are currently facing is finding staff that can be an extension of themselves. Be able to articulate our value just as well as the partners within the firm. It seems as if you guys have that sus. you recently opened up the Pretoria office. I think it was last year or the year before. And that office seems to be growing strength to strength to strength. What is your strategy around recruitment and bringing in the right people that are an extension of yourself, an extension of Simon?
Yeah, and I think let me dispel the myth of we've got it all right and we know what we're doing, because I think any business owner will say people are your greatest asset, but also your greatest source of stress and frustration. So yeah, on our kind of Pretoria office expansion, we started 2 years ago with finding the right person to kind of drive that space and grow our Pretoria office. And that took us 2 to 3 years of finding the wrong person, and finally getting to the point where we found Felicia, who's our head of Gauteng, and we had a number of conversations and when this is the person can take that space and drive it forward. And I think it's you say a lot of no's before you say yes, and you need to take your time when you're hiring, and I think that's critical. And then when you're hiring, you really need to have a rock solid process in place to first find candidates out there, have a strong recruitment process where you weed out the wrong candidates, and then make sure that you have a performance management process that makes sure that you're understanding whether that person that you've just hired is actually performing like they should be performing. If they're not, upskill them, give them support, make sure that they know what they're doing. And hey, if you've done all of that and it's still not working out, it's also important to realize that and kind of move on from that person. And I think that's a challenging thing to navigate, because you're dealing with people's lives and livelihoods and careers. But what we found in the last 12 years is when you've not made that decision, you've held on for too long and not held somebody accountable to their role and responsibilities, and you've let that drag, it has a bigger impact on the team around you that you're wanting to thrive. A toxic person or a low performing person impacts everyone around them, and so it's important to make sure that you're weeding out those people from your organization. And then I think it's really important to build a good culture, and make sure that you're reinforcing the right kind of values and ways of doing things. I think there's a lot of people that you can take that are great people and you put in a bad environment, and they go bad. So it's not just about finding great people. It's about the environment that they're in, and that you're cultivating, the training and development that you've got, and the people in that environment, and making sure that if you're gonna hire great people, high performers, and you're gonna dump them in a team that are low performers and have a toxic culture, it's not going to work out. So you really do want to make sure you collect a good group of people together that are aligned on kind of where you're wanting to go, and make sure you're constantly having discussions and kind of building that building that framework.
What are some of the tactics, or let's say some of the strategies that you guys are using to enforce this culture and motivate your team? Because from the outside looking in, you, like I said before, it looks like you've got the whole hiring thing down. And just from what I see on LinkedIn, you have an energized team that's always willing to talk about what they're doing for Iridium, what they're doing for Iridium's clients. Is there something specific that you guys are doing to motivate the team to be that vocal about their everyday lives at work? Or is it just organic and they just feel that, we're working in this amazing culture and we're working in this amazing company and we have these amazing team members that we work with and we're doing this great work for our clients, it just happens organically? Or is there something that you do to get them to participate a little bit more?
Yeah, and like, once again, like, I think, we definitely have a lot to work on. In terms of having a great culture, great team. I think we've still got a long way to go. But what I think we've done well is, one, we've hired people. So we like to make sure the people that we hire, I don't want to say like we don't want to hire boring people, but we want to hire people that are relatable, that can hold a good conversation, that their skill set isn't, I am good at accounting and tax, that their skill set's a lot more than that. Because for us, we work with small business owners. They're real people that have a passion for something, and they're trying to grow and build a business or a product or something. And for us, it's important that our team are able to communicate really well with business owners and build relationships. It's one of our core values around building relationships. And when you're hiring people that are able to communicate well and are more relatable, well, some of those people are going to naturally say, hey, like, I like talking online about things.
Okay.
And then it's less about forcing them to do that, because that never works out. We've tried that. That doesn't work out. But it's more about fostering and encouraging them. So, for example, we will do LinkedIn sessions with our team around how to update your LinkedIn profile, or give them some tips on how to post. And I think that's equipping them with some skills. It's up to them then to utilize those skills. And then every now and then encouraging, hey, we had a great client event. Can you share that with your circles? Because it's going to be good for you, going to be good for us. And it's not being about overly forceful in that space, but more about fostering and encouraging. I think it's important also to have some fun every now and then. So we like to do events regularly with our teams, where we just had a paddle event with Zero.
Thanks for the invite.
Hey, it was Cape Town based. And we like to have some fun events along the way. Every single one of our accounting teams, we have sub little teams in our big team, are doing a monthly event as a little team together. That could be going out for ice cream or doing something, because we want them to connect outside of just doing work, and have some fun, do something. So I think by having braais, having points of connection, we've got a table tennis table downstairs, and there's lots of competition around that table. We've got a nice big lunch coffee house where guys congregate together on couches and chat. So I think it's about those water cooler moments, but also intentional moments where you build a team.
Let's switch gears. We're speaking about finding that balance now, finding the balance between team members, finding the balance between your clients and spending time with them. You and Jessica recently introduced James to the world. He's 3 years old now. Kids need a lot of attention. And running a business and still, managing life at home must be, fairly challenging. And then on top of that, you run a hell of a lot. Most of the posts that I see from you is you on some trail busting a couple of Ks out. How are you finding that balance between your personal passions, professional commitments, and then, home commitments?
Yeah, I think I'd love to have a few more bar ones and extend my hours in a day. I think it's I've got a lot wrong over the years, but when you have a kid, there's less wiggle room to get things wrong in terms of your days and your timing. So a lot of people will confidently say I'm not a morning person, and when I look at post James, I've become more of a morning person. I'm not saying I am, but I've had to adjust my way of doing things because he wakes me up somewhere between 5 and 6 every morning. So that's you're kind of forced into that. So if I'm gonna stay up watching series until 11:30 at night, well, then I'm getting less sleep because this hard cut off. So I can still do that if I really want to. I'm just not going to feel great the next morning. And similarly, I love running. I've always been a runner. I'm a big trail runner, and I used to do a lot of running in the afternoons. After I came back from work, I'd head out and do a road or trail run. That's not possible now because 5 to 6:37. Well, that's the suicide hours where you get home. You got to look after your little one, eat food together, bath, read a book, get them ready for bed, and that time it's great, but it's also a bit stressful, and there's not a chance that I can go for a run during that time. Not saying that it's not possible, but I think for me it's important to, as much as possible, kind of partner with my wife around that time. I definitely don't get it right all the time. I'll rock up at 5:30 or 5:45 sometimes. But making for me, that time is precious, and it just means that things like running, just are not going to happen at that time. And I don't want to go for a run at 6:37 at night. So now my runs happen in the mornings before I get to work. So I've changed my routine where I do runs in the mornings, which that never happened before being a parent. So I think for me, you become a lot more intentional around how you use your time and how you prioritize things. I could quite comfortably just go, life is busy, and ignore my running. But for me, it's an important thing for mental health, and it's an important thing for stress. So I prioritize that during that morning slot, and I've rearranged my days to make sure that that's a priority. Work is work, and I plot that out, and those are the times that typically work. But to most of the time, I get excited about new tools and new ways of doing things. So when James goes down to bed, I might tinker around with a new piece of technology,
Okay.
or build something, or do something, because I don't see that as work. I enjoy that. It's kind of
That's
like
your downtime.
it's my downtime. It's like more of like a hobby, but it kind of relates to work. So
Some of us play PlayStation.
yeah, some people learn a language. I'll tinker around with a new SaaS tool, or build something, using ChatGPT. So
Okay.
yeah.
Has becoming a father changed your approach to business in any way? I know you mentioned earlier now, just in terms of time management, in terms of prioritization, but anything else?
To be honest, I can't think of anything else. I think I've definitely been a lot more intentional about where I spend my time, and my cutoff times. That's probably the biggest thing about becoming a parent and work, is making sure that I'm using my weekends for spending time with the family. And historically, that pre-kid, I might have spent a lot of time working on the weekend.
Okay.
I think it's about actually reprioritizing and making sure that family comes first.
All right. Trail running, any experiences from you being a trail runner? Any of those lessons do you apply to your day-to-day life as a business owner?
I'd like to say that I like to do hard things, because I read a book that said doing hard things builds grit, and business owners need a lot of grit. You get dealt rough hands, curveballs all the time. You might think you're building the best thing in the world. If somebody else that you've hired thinks differently and exits, you need to somehow fill the gap. And sometimes clients just fire you, or quit on you, or get liquidated. You might think you've signed up the biggest deal and it falls through. So there's so many things that go wrong in business that are sometimes actually almost out of your control, that you need to have a thick skin, and you need to be able to kind of push through, be resilient. And I think for me, doing 40, 50 kilometer trail runs where you're out for 8 to 10 hours, there's a lot of times where you want to give up. And I've done a couple of half Ironman, and I hate swimming, but I knew that I'd signed up for the thing, and I needed to do 1.9 kilometers of swimming. So I needed to make a plan. I needed to learn how to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to drown. So I think you learn a lot about pushing through and succeeding. Not necessarily coming first, but I think it's sticking it out and being kind of disciplined and resilient.
Okay. From a mentorship and learning perspective, you did mention now earlier that during your downtime, you like to tinker with new things, create new systems, new ways of working. How do you impart that to your team? Because it's easy for you to do it. You love technology. You love taking a look at something new and figuring out how it works. But that's not the same for everybody in your organization.
No.
How do you get them to stay up to date with the new stuff that you want to implement into their day-to-day?
Still tinkering with exactly how to get that right.
Okay.
I think it definitely starts with with actually just educating people about what's out there. So if they've got no idea about a new tool, and you just sit down with them and go, how do you do something now? And you go, guess what? Like, instead of having all your authenticator applications on your phone, there's a little like Google extension that we can add, and they can be on your computer as well. And you go, well, that's actually cool. Yeah, that's helpful. So I think it's about asking the right questions, sparking curiosity, which is one of our company values, is be curious. And I think if you spark curiosity, well, people want to investigate further. You don't have to tell them everything, but if you pose the right questions and give them a little bit of what's possible, that'll lead them hopefully to do the rest. And the cool thing, I sat down with a few of my team and I said, are you using ChatGPT? And they're like, no, I'm doing this with it. And like, I could see that I didn't sit with most of these people and go, please use it. They actually, we spoke about it a little bit to the team. We didn't force it. And by sparking a bit of curiosity of what's possible, then people start playing around themselves and go, this is cool. This is interesting. And they find their own way to make it useful to them. Because as soon as they've started to make something useful to them, well, they're going to probably find other uses for it.
Yeah. You speak about ChatGPT a lot. Have you tinkered with DeepSeek by any chance?
I haven't yet.
Haven't yet?
No. I haven't dealt with a lot of the models.
Okay.
I think there's only so much time in one's day. And so for me, I kind of like to pick a few things and spend a bit of time working with them rather than going too wide in my range. I like to be aware of what's out there, but actually spend a lot of time on a few things.
Your faith is something that I know is very important to you. How does it influence your approach to business and to leadership as well? Those two things they play hand in hand. The way you handle yourself with your clients is possibly the way you handle yourself with your staff. So how does faith bring that all together?
So I think faith is one of those tricky subjects which often people hate talking about, and often gets bad rap for various reasons. For me, faith is my faith and my beliefs. If they don't translate into how I show up and how I treat people and how people see me, then it's not like a lived faith. So if somebody has to ask me, well, how does it impact? Well, see me for who I am and how I treat people and how I do things, and that's the impact it has on my life. So that's kind of my actions and kind of how I show up is because of my faith.
Beautiful. I don't know if you are the marketing guy at Iridium. I've always thought of you as the head of marketing for some strange reason. How do you see the integration between marketing and technology, specifically when we're speaking about the accounting industry?
Yeah, so I was the marketing guy, and technically my title says sales and marketing director.
It does.
So we have a head of marketing now.
Okay.
who reports into me. But to be honest, she knows a lot more about marketing than I do these days. So I'm more of like a sounding board and than anything else in that space.
Okay.
But to be honest, for me, any business needs needs marketing. It's kind of a fundamental pillar in your business, and it basically is the way to tell your story. It's to the rest of the world, to make sure people hear who you are and what you're about, and for me, that's critical to running an accounting firm and a business, because it's kind of like an app on an app store that nobody's heard about. It could be an incredible app that you absolutely need, but if you've never heard about it, you're not going to search for it, and you're never going to use it. So for me, marketing takes what's already there and make sure that it's communicated to the world, and make sure people understand the value that they can derive by interacting with the brand and the people in the brand.
Love that analogy. Love that analogy, actually, the way you just, the app store, and it's just there. Nobody knows about you. You'll just be there.
Yeah. So everyone goes, "Oh, you guys are doing so well." We're just telling our story.
Yeah.
And most people don't tell their story. Which means nobody hears how well they're actually doing. And when you're doing well and you're telling your story, well, guess what? More people want to be part of that story, and you gain momentum, and that builds upon each other. There are many accounting firms out there that are doing great work. They're just not telling their story.
And Iridium tells the story of Iridium very well, in that there's a clear separation between Iridium as the business and then the people within that business. Because I find sometimes that accountants and the people that interact with accountants, they're usually one in the same thing. You see the business as the business owner. So I work with Yaku, or I work with so-and-so from such and such firm, but I'm actually working with Yaku. With Iridium, you can tell that Simon is Simon. He likes certain things. Peter is Peter. He likes his own things. Felicia is Felicia. She does her own things. And then there's team members that fall under them. And everybody has a personal brand. And then Iridium as a brand is separated from that. Was that something that you did consciously, or did it just happen organically that we happened to see you telling your story, your brother telling his story, now Felicia's telling her story? Or is it something that you'll actually work on and put in practice on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis?
To answer that, like, people buy people, they don't buy companies.
Yep.
So if you look at social media in general, most people, the most engagements comes from when individuals are posting, not when companies are posting. So for me, telling my story, Simon telling his story, Felicia telling her story, well, we're all part of the same company. We all have our own journeys and our own passions, and those are just kind of those form part of how we do what we do. But they are separate, and people are going to interact with me. They're not going to interact solely with Iridium as a brand,
as an entity.
So it's important that people connect with people, not with companies. And so that's why I said at the beginning, it's technology and people together. It's not. I want our business to have more human interaction, not less. And let technology allow us to do that, not allow us to do less connection.
Tech, AI, cloud solutions, they're transforming industries across the globe. What are the biggest changes that you are seeing, over the past, let's even call it 2 years? We're going to talk pre-COVID. Let's talk about after the dreaded C word. What are the biggest changes that you've seen specifically in the accounting industry over the past 2 years? And how can business owners start to leverage these changes, or at least technology, going forward?
So I think there's weirdly a lot of accountants building tech, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see, which didn't happen beforehand. And I think that's partly because of the AI space, partly because, to be honest, we understand the problems better than the developer does. So, and a third party non-accountant. So it makes sense for us to build solutions for the problems that we're aware of. So I think that's an interesting thing, and I think it's important for business owners and accounting firms to support that. In terms of tech, I think there's like with cryptocurrency and many other phases, there are tried and tested solutions out there that have been around for years. Xero's been around, I think, from 2006. So there's great solutions out there that people are still not using, that they just need to start using. There's a lot of hype about AI, and I think it's similarly, if you know nothing about it, you really do need to start playing around with it, because it is going to become more and more prevalent in every part of our lives. So don't hide away. It's kind of like don't be an ostrich. Don't stick your head in the ground. Because it's scary. No, start educating yourself. And I think there's still a lot of people that are hiding away from it. So I think the big thing for me is there is this rapid growth curve of tech right now. You need to spend time actually just absorbing and educating yourself, and then engage with people that maybe know a little bit more about solutions out there, because you learn from others. You don't learn from listening to a talk. It's also people that you chat to that are in your circles. So for me, it's not like a magical silver bullet. It's about actually being part of it rather than hiding away from it.
Where do you see cloud accounting specifically heading in the next 5 years? With all new technologies, and you're saying accountants building solutions specifically for problems that they're seeing their clients face. What sort of space do you see in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think change happens slowly. So I think 5 to 10 years, we may not see fundamental changes. Some people go, accountants are no longer to be around. I don't believe that. I do believe that people are going to start cottoning on to the fact that they can start chatting to ChatGPT and DeepSeek and learn a lot more. And I've heard from some business owners and accountants that go, I'm being fact checked before I give my response to somebody, and they're going, okay, no, I believe you now because ChatGPT agrees with you. So I think that the knowledge space is going to be a interesting one where people are are pushing back a lot more because they've got ability to question what you say. So don't BS somebody like you might have before. People are going to fact check you quicker.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely going to be a lot more conversational. I think you're going to find a lot more accounting firms that are smaller that pop up, that are a lot more agile than the ones. I mean, we're 65 people large right now. I get the feeling like you're going to have some significantly smaller firms being able to do a lot more in a lot more agile and better way that start popping up. And I think firms are going to start interacting a lot more cross-border than even we have now, because it's going to be easier to absorb knowledge and understand what happens in different countries, which has normally been the stumbling block of like, oh, I don't really know how the States work or Europe works. I think as things get stronger in the AI space, models will be built out around actually helping you understand those spaces better.
Yeah. Any advice for an aspiring accountant coming into the game in 2025?
Yeah. Us old buddies do know a thing or two. So don't think you don't need to listen to the guys that have been around. We also can learn from you, yes. But I think it's important to build networks across generations. So tap into social media like LinkedIn, connect with people across the board, and ask questions and be willing to learn and think differently about things. I think there's a lot one can learn from both sides, younger and older, and I think that's important. If you're gonna just think, I'm just gonna DIY it, do it myself, and take over the world, realize there's stuff that's not just technology focused. There's also people skills and other skills that are learned over time.
Okay. In for the landing. What is Peter Sean working on in the future? What are you working on right now that is going to impact you in the next 5 years? If you are willing to share that, anything you're working on in your personal life or in your organization at the moment that you could share with us.
Yeah, I like the learning development space, especially the accounting firm kind of coaching space. So like I think in the next 5 years, I'm hoping that will scale a bit more. And I think similarly, I love innovation. So in the next 5 years, I'd love to be able to have built a few things myself. And I'm building something right now to help provide better visibility around payroll, and it's working well so far. And that's literally me ChatGPTing a whole lot of stuff through an API and figuring things out over evenings and weekends. And I'm finding that really exciting and good fun. So I think as I learn and build, I'm hoping that I'm able to crank out a few more interesting things. I like the idea of taking data across a practice and looking at it in different ways and finding ways to leverage that to add more value to an accounting firm and have access to data that's meaningful quicker.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Peter Sean, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your knowledge. I'm sure aspiring accountants, current accountants who are servicing clients will get an immense amount of value from this session. And if there's anything else that you'd like to share with us here on the show, please do share it. We'll be posting this update on LinkedIn and on Spotify. So again, thank you for your time and have a good one, brother.
Thanks, Sinead. Really appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to connect with me anytime, anyone that's listening.